Welcome to Homeschool Nolan, here to help you navigate learning in the digital age. It's graduation time. Students across the country have either graduated or are about to graduate. But unfortunately, many new college grads are entering an uncertain world and not sure what to do next. You've probably seen headlines like this: college grads struggle to find jobs. And people, not surprisingly, have been blaming AI as the reason college grads are out of work. Whatever the real reason, it's important for young people not to give up. And in this video, I'd like to dig a little deeper into what sets entry-level jobs apart and offer some advice to young college grads who are still searching and unsure what's next for them in life. But first, let's define what we mean by entry-level jobs. Entry-level jobs, to me, are jobs that mostly consist of simple, repetitive tasks that are well-defined. When I think of an entry-level job, I think of my own very first job at McDonald's as a teenager, where I worked in the kitchen and learned to do things like assemble hamburgers and clean the grill at the end of the day. It wasn't always fun, but the tasks were very well-defined and repetitive. And when I got my first white-collar job out of college, it was a job as a junior programmer for a large software company where I was given programming assignments. It was a lot like school, where I'd be given assignments and had to complete them on time. While this job required me to use my brain more than I did at McDonald's, the problems I had to solve were, relatively easy and got repetitive after a while. Now, one thing about entry-level jobs is that you don't have as much responsibility to make important decisions. You're mostly, again, doing well-defined tasks that follow a pattern and need to be done repeatedly. Now, for most of my career, companies loved hiring fresh young college graduates. That's because they're cheaper to hire, and without any family responsibilities, they usually could work harder and longer hours. In fact, I believe companies actually still prefer to hire younger workers whenever they can. But because AI has now become really good at performing these repetitive, well-defined tasks, it becomes a lot easier for companies to get by now with fewer entry-level workers. You may have noticed that today when you go to McDonald's, they use kiosks to take your orders and have far fewer workers than before. And as for that first programming job I got out of college, I'm pretty sure it doesn't exist anymore, as the code I was writing way back in the 90s can now all be written by AI. So what's a young person to do in this brave new world of AI? I'd now like to offer some advice, not for finding a job, but for approaching life in the years ahead. First, learn how to deal with ambiguity. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, when something is ambiguous, it means it's not clear what is happening and what to do next. In the workplace, it can mean making decisions based on incomplete information, or figuring out how to deal with a difficult coworker. It can mean building an entirely new product or running a project that's never been done or built before. When a problem or situation is ambiguous, there's no textbook or data that clearly tells you what to do next. Managers, salespeople, architects, and CEOs all have to deal with ambiguity all the time. Now, AI systems aren't as good at dealing with ambiguity because they learn from data and finding patterns in data. When something is ambiguous, there usually just isn't enough data to learn from. Now, schools, unfortunately, don't always do a good job at teaching kids how to handle ambiguity. That's because in school, you are trained to learn from books, to solve well-defined problems that have already been solved many times before by other students. Whether it's solving a math problem or writing an essay, while they could be difficult, chances are they are problems that have been done many times before by other students, and there's little ambiguity on what the right solution is. Now, dealing with ambiguity really well comes from skills and experience. But how do you get that experience in the first place if there are no entry-level jobs? This is a catch-22 young people face today. Unfortunately, not every young person today can just wait for an employer to give them that opportunity to get some experience. And this leads me to my second piece of advice, and that is learn how to think like an entrepreneur. Now, I don't necessarily mean you have to start a business, but you should have the same approach to life and solving life's problems like an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs think out of the box. They think creatively in finding both opportunities and solutions overlooked by other people. Think a young Jeff Bezos in 1994 as he saw an opportunity to sell books on this new thing called the internet. There were no books or YouTube videos back then to tell him how to do it. He saw an opportunity and worked through all that ambiguity in figuring out how to create from scratch a new online shopping experience. Now, even if you don't start a large company like Amazon, you can still be an entrepreneur in building your own one-person business. And successful entrepreneurs are persistent and don't give up easily. If they try something and it doesn't work, they learn from the experience and pivot to something else. Now, if you do decide to start your own business, there's probably never been a better time. While AI can be a threat to employees, it's probably the greatest thing to happen to employers and entrepreneurs. That's because AI allows business owners to do a lot more with less people. Speaking of business owners, my third piece of advice is to have an investor or business owner mentality. You may have noticed that the richest people who keep getting richer are usually business owners. Either they own their own business or they own shares in other people's businesses. Now, it's always been the case that business owners have more money than their employees. But because AI favors business owners more than workers, it has now become more important than ever for people to own shares of successful businesses if they want to have some kind of financial security. Now, for most middle-class people, this means investing in stocks. But it could also mean owning your own small business. Of course, in order to invest, you have to at least some money to invest in the first place. And most young college grads are probably starting out with little or no money. But one thing young people have on their side is time. If you can't invest a lot of money, at least try to invest your time in learning and searching for new opportunities. Look for ways new technology like AI can be used to solve problems that you see in your world. When the world is changing fast, there are plenty of opportunities to use new technologies to solve old problems. It's probably going to be a tough year ahead, not just for college grads, but for anyone searching for their next opportunity. But if you can learn how to handle and embrace ambiguity and think like an entrepreneur and investor, you will be ahead of many of your peers in this highly competitive world. And if you're trying to figure out what to do next, I hope this video has at least helped you rethink which direction to take the next step. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And don't forget to click subscribe for more videos like this one. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.